Alp Arslan was one of the most significant rulers of the medieval Islamic world. Known as the second Sultan of the Seljuk Empire, he became famous for his military skill, administrative reforms, and political leadership. His reign, which lasted from 1063 to 1072, saw the expansion of Seljuk power across a vast region stretching from Central Asia into the Middle East and Anatolia. He is best remembered today for his decisive victory over the Byzantine Empire at the Battle of Manzikert in 1071, an event that reshaped the history of the region for centuries to come. Alp Arslan was born on January 20th, 1029, though early sources vary on the exact year. He belonged to the Seljuk dynasty, a Turkic family that had rapidly risen to power in the 11th century. His father was Chagri Beg, and his uncle was Tugrul, both founding leaders of the Seljuk Empire. Through his grandfather Mikhail, Alp Arslan traced his lineage back to Seljuk, the founder of the dynasty. As a young man, Alp Arslan grew up during a time of expanding Seljuk influence. He was involved from an early age in military and administrative affairs, accompanying his uncle on campaigns and gaining first-hand experience in leadership. His father, recognizing his potential, encouraged him to take an active role in governance and introduced him to Nizam al-Mulk, who would later become one of the most important and influential viziers in Islamic history. Alp Arslan's rise to the Sultanate was not straightforward. After his father died in 1059, he became governor of Khorasan, one of the most important provinces in the empire. When Tugrul died in 1063, a succession crisis erupted. Although Tugrul had named another successor, Alp Arslan believed he had the strongest claim to leadership. Another powerful contender was Kutilmish, a relative who also wanted to rule. The dispute culminated in the Battle of Dangan in 1063. Alp Arslan's forces defeated those of Kutilmish, allowing him to consolidate power and be recognized as the sole ruler of the Seljuk Empire. He formally began his reign as Sultan in October 1063. With this victory, the Seljuk Empire entered its most dynamic phase of expansion and consolidation. Alp Arslan was a skilled military commander who led his forces into battles and campaigns across multiple regions. His military strategies, boldness, and tactical awareness enabled the Seljuks to break new ground and defeat powerful enemies. In the early period of his career, the Ghaznavid Sultan Mahmud attacked the Seljuk-held region of Tokaristan. At this time, Alp Arslan was in Balkh and took command. He successfully repelled the Ghaznavid forces and captured several key cities, establishing his reputation as a capable commander. The Kara Khanid Khanate was another regional power that challenged Seljuk authority. When the Kara Khanids plundered Seljuk-held territories, Alp Arslan responded with an expedition of his own. He defeated the Kara Khanid ruler and forced him to retreat. This conflict ended in a negotiated peace, with the Seljuks emerging as the dominant power in the region. During the siege of Isfahan, while Tugrul was focused on expanding Seljuk influence in the west, Alp Arslan launched an independent attack on Fasa, a city held by the Buyid dynasty. Though he acted without his uncle's approval, he successfully captured the city and later returned to Khorasan. The Ghaznavids attempted to reclaim territory in Khorasan, but Alp Arslan secured the region by defeating their forces. This victory strengthened his control and secured the heartland of the Seljuk Empire. In 1059, Alp Arslan continued his campaigns against the Kara Khanids, seizing the strategic region of Shiganian. Despite complaints to the Abbasid Caliph, no effective actions were taken against him, reinforcing his position and territorial gains. Internal rebellions also challenged Seljuk authority. When a rebellion led by Ibrahim Yainal threatened the empire, Alp Arslan marched against the rebels. The ensuing battle near Ray ended in the defeat and capture of the rebel forces, reinforcing Seljuk unity. In 1063, the Kutul Emir rebelled against Seljuk rule. Alp Arslan laid siege to Hulbuk Castle and eventually killed the emir in battle. With this victory, he secured control over Kutul and appointed a loyal subordinate to govern the region. Battle of Herat and further consolidation. After the death of Tugrul, Musa Yabgu seized control of Herat. Alp Arslan responded with a campaign that regained the city. He demonstrated both military skill and political restraint by sparing Musa after his defeat. He also subdued other rebellions, ensuring Seljuk dominance across Khorasan. Alp Arslan expanded Seljuk power into the Caucasus and beyond. Northwestern campaigns. In 1064, he marched into Armenia and Georgia alongside his son and Nizam al-Mulk. He captured numerous strongholds and cities, including Akulkalaki, Aliverdi, and Surmari. He besieged and took Ani, the capital of Armenia, a major strategic and symbolic victory. This conquest, however, was accompanied by the destruction and displacement of many civilians. Alp Arslan extended Seljuk influence into eastern Anatolia, capturing key fortresses and expanding the empire's reach into the Byzantine frontier. These incursions set the stage for future conflicts with the Byzantine Empire. A conflict with his brother Covert over control of Fars led to another military engagement. Covert's defeat allowed Alp Arslan to consolidate power in the region and appoint loyal governors. In 1065, Alp Arslan led expeditions to the Usturt and Mangyshlak regions, defeating local nomadic tribes such as the Kipchaks. These victories expanded the empire's influence from the Caspian Sea to the borders of Central Asia. Through these campaigns, Alp Arslan reinforced Seljuk authority among the Turkic tribes and secured important trade routes. He also faced rebellions in Kerman, which he addressed by both military action and strategic forgiveness, allowing him to maintain relative stability within the empire. Although the Georgians agreed to pay tribute in 1064, they broke the agreement, prompting another campaign in 1068. Alp Arslan captured Tbilisi and other key regions, forcing Georgian submission. However, after his death, these territories briefly slipped from Seljuk control before being regained under later rulers. In 1067, Alp Arslan led a raid into Cappadocia, capturing Caesarea, modern Kayseri. This campaign struck deep into Byzantine territory and was significant in provoking a direct response from the Byzantine emperor. This raid foreshadowed the larger conflict that would soon follow between the Seljuks and Byzantines. Campaign in northern Syria and Anatolia. By 1070, the Seljuk Empire's influence extended into the Arabian Peninsula, bringing the holy cities of Mecca and Medina under its sphere. Responding to requests for help from local rulers against the Fatimids of Egypt, Alp Arslan moved westward, securing the submission of regional emirs and capturing key cities. Though he laid siege to Edessa, he eventually lifted it in exchange for tribute. He then advanced toward Aleppo and consolidated Seljuk control over northern Syria, forcing local rulers into vassalage before turning his attention toward the Byzantines once more. The Battle of Manzikert. The most important event of Alp Arslan's reign was the Battle of Manzikert, fought on August 26, 1071. The Byzantine Emperor Romanos IV Diogenes led a large army eastward to confront the growing Seljuk threat. Despite Byzantine attempts to resist, internal divisions and strategic challenges weakened their position. Alp Arslan, meanwhile, had moved his forces to meet the Byzantine army. Before the battle, he offered terms of peace, which Romanos refused. The stage was set for a confrontation that would change the course of history. The Seljuk army employed tactical maneuvers and ambush strategies. During the battle, the Byzantines were drawn into a trap. Seljuk cavalry, hidden along the valley, surrounded and overwhelmed the Byzantine forces. The result was a decisive Seljuk victory. The Byzantine army was routed, and Emperor Romanos IV was captured. Once Romanos was in Alp Arslan's custody, several dramatic events followed. Although some accounts describe Alp Arslan humiliating the emperor, the Sultan ultimately decided to spare his life. Romanos's bravery and honesty impressed him, and a ransom was arranged for the emperor's release. Alp Arslan's decision was also influenced by political considerations, as he wanted to avoid fighting on two fronts, especially against the Fatimids in the south. The victory at Manzikert profoundly weakened Byzantium and opened Anatolia to Turkic settlement. Over time, this led to the gradual displacement of Byzantine control and the rise of Turkish principalities in the region. While Alp Arslan was a formidable military leader, the internal administration of the Seljuk Empire was largely shaped by his vizier, Nizam al-Mulk. Together, they developed an administrative system that strengthened central authority and ensured stability throughout the empire. One of their key innovations was the use of ikta, land grants given to military commanders and administrators in exchange for service. This system helped integrate nomadic Turkic warriors with the settled agricultural populations, providing a reliable source of revenue and manpower for the army, without depending entirely on conquest spoils. Alp Arslan also delegated authority to family members and loyal generals, appointing them as governors of frontier regions to maintain order and extend Seljuk influence. Physical appearance and personality. Contemporary descriptions portray Alp Arslan as an imposing and commanding figure. He was noted for his tall, elegant stature and his skill with a bow. According to accounts of the time, his arrows rarely missed their mark. Alp Arslan was also deeply religious and committed to Sunni Islam, particularly the Hanafi school of jurisprudence. He kept religious scholars close to him, reflecting both personal piety and political strategy. His close relationship with Nizam al-Mulk provides insight into his intellectual environment and priorities as a ruler. In 1072, Alp Arslan launched a campaign into Central Asia with a large army, intending to subdue rebellious fortresses and consolidate power. During the siege of one such fortress near the Amu Darya River, a defender named Yusuf al-Khwarizmi surprised the Sultan's camp. In a sudden attack, Yusuf wounded Alp Arslan with a dagger. Though he survived for 4 days after the injury, the wound proved fatal. Alp Arslan died on November 24, 1072. Before his death, he reflected on his life and the lessons of humility and reliance on divine will. He was buried in Merv and succeeded by his son Malik Shah, then only 18 years old. Alp Arslan had several wives and many children, through whom he forged political alliances across the Islamic world. One of his daughters married the Abbasid Caliph, strengthening ties with the religious center of Sunni Islam. His sons included Malik Shah, who succeeded him, and Tutu Shah and Arslan Shah, who would play significant roles in later Seljuk history. His extended family also included military leaders and governors who continued to exercise influence in the decades following his death. Alp Arslan's reign marked a turning point in Middle Eastern and Anatolian history. His expansion of Seljuk power created a new political order that reshaped the balance between Muslim and Christian powers. The victory at Manzikert, in particular, had long-lasting consequences. It not only weakened Byzantine authority in Anatolia, but also paved the way for the rise of Turkish states and, eventually, the Ottoman Empire. His administrative reforms, supported by Nizam al-Mulk, helped stabilize and govern the vast Seljuk territories. The Ikta system and centralized institutions he helped develop continued to influence Islamic governance for generations. Alp Arslan is remembered as both a warrior and a statesman, an ambitious leader whose actions changed the course of history across 2 continents.